Hello there, I'm Sarah and I'm a science communicator who lives in Swindon in the UK. Today I'd like to show you a science experiment that you can do with things you could find around the home. So some of the things that you'll need are some hair gel. So I borrowed this from my husband. You also will need a container, so I'm using a glass today. You will also need something to stir with, like a spoon. And finally, you'll need some salt. So I've got this already prepared in a bowl. So the first thing that you'll need to do is put some hair gel in your container. So in this case, I have some hair gel in a glass. And if I put it sideways, the hair gel's not moving very fast down the side of the glass. It's moving very, very slowly and it's a very thick consistency. So this is worth sort of observing before you start the experiment. The next thing you'll need to do is to add some salt. So I have this in a bowl over here. I'm just going to tap that in to the bowl. You don't need a ton, just enough to cover the gel. And next thing you'll need now is a spoon to stir with. And as I'm doing that, I'm noticing that in the glass, it is now gone quite runny. So where it was quite thick before, it has now gone quite thin and quite runny, so it can flow down the side of the glass much more easily than it did before. So what's going on here? Well, let's talk about polymers. So polymers are made out of lots of molecules or units, and they form into these chains. So these long chains, if you think about the word polymer, poly meaning many. And this polymer that we are working with today is something called hydrogel. So hydrogel so we've got this multiple unit structure, and it is able to hold water while maintaining its structure. So why would this be useful? Well, it's a good way of thickening things like paint, also thickening things like gel as well. And water is quite safe and cheap to use. You might find that some hydrogels are 90% water, so that's a lot of water in a material. Hydrogel is also something we call a smart material. So this means that it changes its structure if there's been a change in its environment, such as adding salt. So when you add the salt to the hydrogel, what happens is that the ions, so it's the charged particles in the salt, are attracted to the polymer structure. And it ends up being more attracted to this than the water, and it kind of kicks the water out. So water ends up leaving the hydrogel, so it replaces it. And that's what makes it go runny. So if you want to take this experiment further, you could experiment with different ratios, so different amounts of the hair gel and the salt. So you might find that you need a lot less salt than I use to actually just get the reaction going. So try out different ratios. You can also try out different hair gels you might find at home. You might find some of the cheaper ones which have less stuff in it might actually have a more effective reaction. And also try out different things that aren't salt. What happens if you add sugar? Just have a play around and experiment around with this particular science experiment. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you're all also keeping safe and well at home. Make sure to look out for the other videos that are being posted on Twitter today. Thank you so much for watching.